Howdy! Today I'm looking at the Dark of the Moon Cyberverse Legion class wreckers, and I'll be reviewing these in the order in which they hit the pegs. From the first wave we have Topspin, the only wrecker to be done as a standard stock car. As much as people harp on about how he looks out of place next to the other two, at the very least, he's a neat little stock car. Topspin is based on the car driven by NASCAR racer Jimmy Johnson. It sports the right colours and some of the decals, including his racing number, 48. Seams aside, I generally like how clean this looks, unfitting though it may be for a wrecker. This mode, however, deserves almost every criticism it gets. This, my friends, is the very definition of a shell former, where most of the robot is wrapped inside these car shell halves. They just hang off the back of his shoulders, and it's a real detraction in my book. He's still recognisable as Topspin with the colours, the mullet and the clamps, which I was actually surprised to find that the clamps on his left hand open and close. A nice, subtle point of articulation. But then you get to posability as a whole, and these shell halves strike again. They open on hinges that can only move side to side, and the elbows are attached to the insides of these pieces. And while his hips are on ball joints, they can only move forward without any interference. Unless you try and fiddle the leg past this piece like this. And even that is cumbersome at best. Definitely the weakest of the trio. From the second wave we have Leadfoot, based on the car driven by Juan Pablo Montoya, as evidenced by the colours and the number 42. No Target logo for obvious reasons. This guy is done in his brute mode, which is essentially the car covered in weapons, armour, rockets and such. But to me, this is more of a balance between the two alt modes in that it's modified, but it still looks like a car. And this colour combo will always catch this reviewer's eye. Leadfoot's robot design has the front of the car form, well, a beer belly or gasoline gut. A quirk that looks amusing on any toy of this character, this one included. He's also got a visor shaped like sunglasses, a beard, and he's supposedly a mechanic. Well, his right arm does look a little like a wrench. While this design aesthetic does cause problems with balancing, he arguably has the best articulation of the three. And despite his flaws, I actually like him the best, though he's not for everyone. Finally, there's Roadbuster from the third wave, based on the car driven by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Forgive any mispronunciations. Like Leadfoot before him, Roadbuster is done in his brute mode, an emphasis on brute. This guy has been modified like you wouldn't believe. You can barely make out the 88 on either side. You got the gun, the missile pods, and this, even though it looks like a spoiler, is actually the rear of the car folded up to reveal his rocket booster, in concept. While this is a great representation of the brute mode, it's not a design I'm particularly fond of. I just think, compared to Leadfoot, it's a bit overdone. But A star for the level of detail that went into this. By contrast, I actually like the look of Roadbuster's robot mode better than the other two. They even managed to work in some of the details on his head, which is apparently supposed to evoke that of a NASCAR fan. You got the baseball cap shaped helmet, and again, the visor shaped like sunglasses. He has slightly less articulation than Leadfoot, and is just as hard to pose. Mainly because these aren't his actual knees, they merely bend as such for transformation. The main selling point of this toy? The chainsaw. Very cool looking. It can actually be deployed in car mode because it's on a ball joint. So, as you probably guessed, he's second best. Second worst, in the middle, you get the idea. The sad fact is, this is the only size class in which all three wreckers A. exist, and B. were easy to get at the time. And even though Topspin is much weaker than these two, he's part of a group. You get these guys, it's hard to resist getting him as well. All in all though, they're decent representations of the wreckers that you can carry around with you in your pocket. But what say for my next video, I look at something far more impressive.